Hey guys, it's Nick the Booksmith. Welcome back, welcome back. Please excuse the fact that I didn't do my makeup for you or much of anything. I did get dressed and I ran a comb through my hair and I put on some lip balm. There you go. Not real camera ready today, but I thought maybe taking a couple minutes and catching up with everybody and seeing what everybody is up to or down to, whatever. And I don't know, chatting for a minute. What have I been up to? Well, because I had the sale going on and, just life stuff, I haven't been able to focus real well on one thing or another. And when that happens, I kind of just bounce around and I do a lot of different things. So something will catch my attention and I will work on that. Even if it's step 5 out of 15 in another project I haven't started yet, I tend to do that. This is one of them. Let me zoomy. That's the wrong way. These are some stones. I just polished them up last week. I will bring them closer to the thing so you can see them. I might have to brighten these up in post. They're kind of hard to see. Anyway, so these I made from polymer clay, and then I shined them up with my Dremel and a homemade buffing wheel, like a fluffy buffing thing. You're going to hear the cat. That's just the way it's going to be. So it's not just the train or a little dog that's barking her head off because she wants inside somewhere in the neighborhood. It's going to be the cat too, because there is a power struggle going on in my house and I am not winning. So I made these and they are for an upcoming project that I'm doing, that I have been doing, that I've trying to do for, I don't know, a year and a half. So I've never worked with polymer clay before to make, stones, or I crafted little things with my daughter, little miniature food items and stuff, little mice and just, stuff like that. I needed to look somewhere for some guidance, and YouTube comes to the rescue, of course. And there are tons and tons and tons of tutorials on polymer clay and making all kinds of things with polymer clay. And I wanted to make some things that looked like stones, like semi-precious stones. And so this was a labradorite. Labradorite. Is it like Louisville, Kentucky? It's not Louisville, it's Louisville. I don't care who you are, it's Louisville. If you live there, you know. So it's not labradorite, it's a pretty stone, but they're kind of complex and they have a lot of texture to them on the inside. A lot of different things are going on in labradorite. Why I picked a complicated one to begin with, it's just me. It's what I do. And then this one I did using a tutorial on how to make turquoise, but I didn't use turquoise colored clay. I used this jade green color. And then I added in some gold, because you know how turquoise and all kinds of gemstones, you'll find little gold flecks in them if they were near gold. At some point, maybe you'll see those again. Say goodbye. Say goodbye to those. Another thing that I did was I recovered a couple of books. Ooh, back out. Just back out. You may recall, it's been a few months ago, I had a book, Oliver Twist, and the cover was falling apart and the spine was coming off, but the text block was nice and secure. So what I ended up doing was taking off the old cover and recovering it in this brown Moroccan goat skin with one of the hand marbled papers that I made a couple of years ago. And this written label up here, I did this with my Cricut and one of the We Are Memory Keeper foil things, but I used the fine tip one. I found it at, it was Tuesday morning or something like that. Cheap. I let the Cricut do the hard part. I think it turned out pretty cute. It's not in the leather that the spine is made from. I made a label and I added it because I wasn't sure if it was even going to work. And it's my personal book, so it doesn't bother me. But I did little corners, and then on the inside I used this paper for my end sheets, like so. But it is a nice hollow back book that you can't see the hollow in, but it's there, I promise. I think it turned out pretty cute though. Looks a lot better than it did. And then this one was a book from 1865, and it was just the text block. It didn't have any covers left on it at all. I decided that it needed a jacket. So I made it a jacket, and this is black leather, goatskin leather. The black is nice. Then I did some blind tooling on the cover. As you can probably see that harlequin pattern. And then I did the little gold, I don't know, pincushion dots at the intersections of the blind tooling. And this one has ridges, raised ridges on the spine. And then on the inside, I printed this end sheet. It is little leaping deer inside of these medallion cameo shapes. And I added marble paper that I had done many moons ago because this was the original end sheet, or it was probably more like a fly leaf, kind of like a secondary one on the inside of the book, but it was yellow. So I added this to kind of marry everything in with that yellow. I don't know if that makes any sense. It made sense to me at the time. So this book was beautiful. The paper is not brittle. It's not out from the binding. It was a nice tight binding, and it has some pull-out maps in it. And this is a geography book of Palestine. I just took the opportunity to use this one, for one, because the text block was in good shape. I didn't have a big piece of this leather left, so I couldn't do anything huge, because she sent me a few books that are just text blocks. They don't have any covers on them anymore. And it was just for practice. There is that one. I think it turned out pretty cute. And I found this. I had gotten this from the recycle yard. It was last year. When I saw it in the box, in the recycle box, I just noticed the cool wood grain on it. I thought it was really cool. And I think this is basically, it's poetry is basically what it is. It does have a little bit of water damage, but I don't know. I just thought it was a neat book, and I thought you guys would like to see it. Just personal updates. I figured maybe you'd be interested in. I don't share a whole lot of, I don't know, heavy stuff. You guys don't really come here to, listen to Brings Up the Feels or anything like that. You come here to play or to escape. Kind of have to interject a little bit because sometimes I don't record quite as much as I used to. And it's not because I don't want to. It's usually because I don't feel well. And you've heard me say a lot that I have a headache today, or I just don't feel good today, or, whatever. And the reason that is because I was diagnosed with lupus not too long ago. I've known I've been sick for quite a while. When you have an autoimmune disorder, you look okay from the outside most of the time, but you don't feel good. If you are going through what they call a flare, you do not feel well. And so I would say 80% of the time I don't feel good. And usually I just power through it, suck it up. But there are times where you just crash because you don't have any energy left. And you have a headache for 2 weeks straight. that just takes a lot out of you, or you just don't feel good. With my lupus, I think the biggest struggle, other than the headache that is with me a lot of the time, is I feel like I'm coming down with the flu all the time. I'll even get feverish. On occasion, I'll get a sore throat. I got those more in the beginning, not quite as much now. It has shifted more to headaches than sore throats now. You know you're coming down with something because you feel it in the back of your throat and your sinuses, and your glands will swell sometimes. You'll feel clammy or feverish, or you feel like crud. I have felt that way for the last couple of years. And at first, it only happened when I was overly tired. Then it just got to overwhelm more and more of my life, even when I wasn't particularly tired. And you try to explain it away or ignore it. You think, oh, well, I just didn't sleep good last night, or I didn't drink enough water today, or whatever it is. Why else would you feel like this all of a sudden? And, you go to the doctor and for your yearly checkup or whatever, or something else, and you tell them, I just don't feel good. I don't have energy. I feel like I'm coming down with the flu all the time. And there's really no explanation for it. Your blood work looks fine. Maybe something will crop up here and there, and like, well, you're anemic or whatever. And of course, some of you know that I have Raynaud's syndrome. My feet will turn very blue, purpley blue, and I'm a Smurf. And my hands will do it too. You may have seen that happen on camera sometimes, every once in a while. My hands do it less often than my feet, although my hands are starting to catch up. So they're feeling left out. So they're starting to catch up. Especially you guys at the Adventures Facebook group. You know about my Raynaud's and how long I've been fighting with that. I've been fighting with that for several years. So I'm cold all the time, even when I shouldn't be, until I'm not. And then I'm overheated, because that's how Raynaud's works. You're cold and you're blue or you're white, whatever color phase you're in at the time. And then it's like you sit in front of a fireplace or whatever it is that you do to get warm. And then all of a sudden you're warm and all the blood rushes because your vessels open up like fire hoses. And then your hands and feet are swollen and hot and red. It's just the weirdest thing. It's like either you're cold and numb and white and purple, or you're hot and swollen. And it's two extremes. It's super fun. So I recommend it to anybody that like to shake up their life a little bit. So I've been fighting with that for a long time. And that can happen. That it's called Raynaud's phenomenon when it's not connected with anything, when it's just like an idiopathic thing that people have. Usually if you have it in childhood, they say if it's something that develops when you're a little kid, if you don't have something attached to it when you're a little kid, because kids can get lupus and all kinds of things too, that usually it's idiopathic. It is what it is. Just stay warm, right? But it doesn't mean anything else. When it develops later on in life, like it did with me, it can be idiopathic, especially if you moved from a warm climate to a cold climate. Then maybe you did always have it. It's just you didn't live in a cold place. It is more likely can be associated with an autoimmune disorder. So when it cropped up about, 8 years ago for the most part, at first I was like, ooh. Who was my podiatrist? He goes, so why are your feet purple? I don't know. You're the doctor. Why don't you tell me? And he's the one that alerted me that, this looks like Raynaud's syndrome or phenomenon, whichever. You really need to go have that checked out, which I did fairly quickly. I just went to the doctor within, 2 or 3 months at that time. And a whole bunch of blood work was done. I got sent to a rheumatologist and blah, 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 blah. And there were a couple of blood tests that were kind of pointing towards something. But apparently with that rheumatologist, it just wasn't definitive enough to say yes or no to anything. Well, fast forward a few years, and you get older and you break a little bit more. And it gets to where it overwhelms your immune system. There's stuff that your body could compensate for that it no longer can compensate for. So then more things start to show up. So finally, I go to a different rheumatologist now, by the way, and I love her. She's amazing. She's 12, but she's amazing. Oh, she looks 12. They all do. If they're under 40, they look 12 to me. But she's awesome, and she said there's just no doubt. Anyway, so I'm going to be starting some new medication, hopefully to stabilize my symptoms a little bit so that I don't always feel like I'm coming down with the flu and I don't have a headache 24/7. I mean, all the plethora of things that can come with a disease like lupus. You know, save my kidneys, that'd be good. Save the kidneys, save the world, right? Because I need both of them. We'll see what this medication does. We'll see if I grow another head or I turn green or warty. I don't know. Might be interesting. The biggest side effect they said is like nausea and dizziness. And I'm like, yay, because I'm not nauseous and dizzy enough. Thanks. But we won't think about that too much. We'll try to shake it off. I just wanted to let you know that if you don't see me, it's probably because I don't feel really well. I'm trying. I'm really trying. I'm trying to de-stress my life as much as possible and do a little bit of self-care a little bit better. I know I need to eat better. Who doesn't? Except for that one friend that you have that never eats badly and you hate her for it because it just seems so easy. Yeah, her. We all know her. It's not Donna. You say the word diet and not like a calorie restriction or, anything like that, but more of like, okay, so don't eat this so much, but maybe switch it out with this. And my brain just automatically goes, no. And immediately I want brownies. I have a rebellious inner self that fights with me on that all the time. But I have to do my due diligence, I think. And lupus isn't curable. It's not something that's going to go away. It can go into a remission-like state if you're lucky enough. That doesn't always happen, and it doesn't happen to everybody. I figure if I can do what I can to figure out things that might trigger my system to go into some kind of a flare, then maybe that would be good. So it's kind of like diabetes. You can live with diabetes and you can do well with it. You just know that if you eat certain things, it's going to cause your system to react. You're going to flare and it's going to cause damage. If you can, you try to avoid what you shouldn't eat so that you can reduce that damage. You're not going to cure the diabetes. It's not necessarily going to go away unless you're type 2, and that's different. You can mitigate some of that damage that might come from not eating as well, not being as good to yourself, as boring as that sounds. And as much as I should have been working and recording this morning, and I didn't. I spent the morning looking for recipes that have better ingredients in them because I know that as soon as I feel deprived of anything, that inner angry child is going to come out and it's going to go, no, and I'll make brownies. So I've decided, instead of like jumping straight into like an elimination diet, which there's no way I could stick to that. There's no possible way unless you like chained me up in an empty room and brought me food. That's the only way it would happen. And I know that. I know me. There's really no sense in setting myself up to fail. So what I've decided to do instead is I'm going to follow more of a Mediterranean diet and clean my diet up first instead of just, cold turkey. So instead of butter and canola oil and that kind of thing, you use olive oil, you move to that. It's based more on fruits and vegetables and whole grains and less on meat and dairy and that kind of thing. But I've decided just for myself that I'm going to try to avoid potatoes right now and white flour and processed sugar. I'm not going to cut out honey or real maple syrup. I can't deprive myself of stuff like that. Then I will feel like I'm being persecuted. Who wants that? I've made some changes. I ordered a few things from Amazon that I can't get locally or don't really want to go out and get them. Or frankly, it's just cheaper. So just some things, and I will, if I find any like really good recipes that like really rock my socks, I will definitely share them. There's one that I want to try so bad. So when I get my order from Amazon, I think it's like Monday or something, I will have to try that out and let you know if it's fabulous or not. For me, it's not about calorie restriction, nothing like that. It's just making better choices, because you really are what you eat. Your body rebuilds and repairs your cells with what you put in it. And up until now, I've pretty much been a gummy bear and, Cheetos. I mean, not like strictly, but there are days where that's what it is. That's what I put in. And I know that's not good. I know that's really, really not good. As soon as I get over the initial, oh my God, I can't have gummy bears anymore, because that's there. That is definitely there. Hopefully I'll be settled into a new kind of a normal and feel better. And hopefully then I won't want that kind of stuff, because I know it will make me feel worse. Not everybody is triggered by dietary things, but because it's such a huge part of our health, it's very common to have triggers with diet. I'm not the kind of person that can just cut out entire food groups. I'm not going to like totally cut out dairy or totally cut out meat or totally cut out whatever. I'm just going to have the better versions of them. If that makes sense. I don't know if you can see, this hand is swollen today. Can you see the red here and here? I've got these red puffy spots on my knuckles. This hand always, well, my hands are always stiff and swollen when I wake up. Not quite as bad as they were before I was put on the first medication I was put on, because I used to wake up in the morning and it would feel like there were razor blades in my joints when I bent them, which is super fun. Start working my hands as soon as I got up to work that out. And it took about 30 minutes or so before that would totally dissipate. It was real bad the first couple of squeezes, and then it would slowly, work its way out. But my hands would stay swollen and stiff. Let me see the purple. I don't know if you can see the purple on the edges of my fingertips there. They would stay swollen and stiff for a little bit longer than the pain would. And then it would slowly, because I work with my hands all day long, so I would start using them, and that does help. My right hand for some reason swells up, and a couple of weeks ago, it was twice the size of this one for about a week. So that was really weird. It is still bigger, and you might be able to see that on camera, that these fingertips are bigger than these fingertips. And that's just something that, it's a new fun thing that we've decided to do, I guess. And these fingers will start turning different colors. And you see the last knuckle, like this is all darker. It's a darker color than the others. It's super fun. So I'm hoping that the new medicine will help things and even things out a little bit more, and maybe we can get my symptoms under control and I can feel more like Nick again, and not the shell of Nick, what Nick is now, but is no more. Because that's frustrating. When you don't feel good, it's really, really frustrating. Because you have all these things that you want to do, you just don't have the energy to do it, or you can't sit up enough to do it because you're so dizzy you're going to throw up every time you turn your head. Because that happens. That really ruins your day when you feel like throwing up every time you sit up. I guess that's my update. And I hate to be all heavy and doomy gloomy. I don't want to be heavy and doomy gloomy. That's not what I want to be. That's why I don't talk about it a lot. I don't want to bring anybody down or make anybody feel sorry for me or anything like that. I just wanted to let you know a little bit so that you guys know it's not you. It's me. It's definitely me. It's not you. I'm not mad at you, but we're working through it. It's going to be all right. I guess that's that for today. It is getting dark on me because, it's 4:00 in the afternoon. So inevitably, the sun's going to be going down here in, 3 or 4 minutes. And the cat is waiting on the other side of that door. And I'm surprised she's not like sitting. She might be sitting at that door. I'm not going to look. But she usually cries. So hopefully she's not, she wants fed. And you're thinking, well, Nick, just feed her. She has food out there and she likes it. But I started giving her wet food. Oh, probably, I don't know, as a treat. It started a couple of years ago. She never was interested in it. And then I thought, you know what, she needs some more water in her diet. Cats sometimes are really bad about drinking water, and she doesn't like the fountain things. And I make sure I change out her water like every other day and clean her bowl. And so it's not like she doesn't have fresh water. But cats are prone just not to drink enough water sometimes. And so I thought, well, if I gave her some wet food, then that would introduce a little bit more liquid into her diet. Oh, are my cheeks red? Sorry if I'm all fleshy. But now she's like, oh, she loves it. And so every evening before, we start dinner or something like that, she gets, a little bit. We don't give her a lot. And we add water to it. So it's kind of like, cat food soup, which, she's very insistent. If she thinks that you've forgotten about her, or she forgets what time it is, and then as it gets towards winter and the sun is going down quicker, then earlier and earlier and earlier in the day, she thinks it's time to be fed. And usually I don't get around to recording until, after 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's just when I can get myself prepared and the aspirin starts to work and I can, have a coherent thought or two. Then she starts like yowling. It just throws me off, and it's hard to concentrate because I know it's going to be going off any second, and it just drives me nuts. So I usually go in there and just feed her, but she will go take a nap and then forget that she was fed. And she's 14, so 14 and a half, and I don't know if maybe she's getting dementia. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. That was a really long, drawn out, complicated explanation about my cat and I and the power struggle we have. So, moving on. Okay, well, I will continue working on the things that I'm working on. And, it's the end of the year. It's 2020. And this year needs to go away anyway. I think we all agree with that. We all need to just take a break. And I know you're thinking, well, but we've been in quarantine or lockdown or whatever it is. We really don't need a break. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Especially those of you that have kids that you're homeschooling, or you're working from home and homeschooling kids, and maybe somebody else in the house is also working from home. If you have a husband or a wife or grandparents that live there, or uncles and aunts and cousins or whatever, brother or sister, whatever is in your household, and everybody's trying to get everything in their life that needs to be done, plus the kids have to be schooled and everything that kind of goes on with this, and then add in the complication that we have for going to the grocery store. Who knew, right? Can't just go to Target and wander around for 2 hours anymore like we used to. It's stressful. And so I hope everybody takes a moment and just kind of shuts everything off and do something just for you, whether it's a book you always wanted to read or write, or maybe it's a movie you've been wanting to watch. Just treat yourself and rent it and watch it online or stream it, however it is you do your thing. I hope everybody can take a minute and do a chill time and not worry about the have to stuff. Just let it go, man. Because you know what? It's going to be there tomorrow. I promise you it will be there. And just take a minute and decompress a little bit. Have some enjoyment. Not like we can go to Aruba, unless you live in Aruba and then I hate you. I love you, but I hate you. I hope you get a moment if you have kids. Maybe you have to tag team with somebody else in the household, if there is somebody else in the household. Okay, you need to occupy these little people so that I can XYZ, and then I will do the same for you. But you got to promise that unless somebody's bleeding, you're going to leave me alone. There needs to be strict rules on these kinds of things. We all need to abide by them, or just chaos ensues. Okay, guys, I hope everybody is having a pleasant day, end of your day, beginning of your day, whatever it is. And I will see you all really, really soon in the next video. Bye, guys.